Thank you guys for coming out. If you feel like standing up, that would make it feel less like dinner theater with Wolfwood community players featuring Wolfwood. So feel free to stand. If you get tired, you can sit. No one's going to be upset, but standing will be nice for everyone.
好久不见。
好久不见. Nice. So you guys are going to China soon?
Yeah.
In next month? Next week?
Next week. Yeah, we leave on the 1st of August for Hong Kong.
You guys did it once, right? So what is the appeal about why do you want to tour China again?
I think we wanted to tour China again because it was really like hands down the best tour we did that year, and it was honestly the Shanghai show especially was like probably the best show Handsome Furs ever played anywhere.
Right.
So and I just kind of became, after being there, just kind of became fascinated with the music scene and the culture there, just being there, you know.
What particularly is about sort of the Chinese scene and also the people there that makes you think it's so good? Like, and speaking as musician, maybe if you're trying to say to pitch it to like the rest of the world, why is it so good?
I like it because it doesn't have this because the evolution of it's at an earlier point in its evolution than the scene here. It seems like things are a lot more open. Like there's a lot more opportunity for bands to do, you know, musically kind of whatever they want.
Right.
And there's a real do-it-yourself element.
It's like a blank canvas, like a canvas.
Yeah, like a blank canvas. Tabula rasa. Yeah. You know, if you want to compare it to a time in North America, I'd say it'd be like late 70s, early 80s with like the emergence of like real independent rock music. But when that was happening in North America, there was no precedent for it. In China, they're at that stage developmentally, but you know, they can always look to the West or look to UK and see this development. So I can you know, see almost like into their own future potentially. But that would be, I think, as a musician, that would be kind of frustrating because, like you said, if there's obstacles to progressing, you know, this natural amount of time, maybe they don't want to wait that long.
But is that a good idea? It's like for them, for Chinese artists to purely almost get their influence from Western bands?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think globally, like, I think in the next 15 years, like, the entire global focus is going to shift away from the West.
Okay.
Like, not just with entertainment, but also with, you know, economics, and I mean, it's already happened, basically. So I think the one benefit to that is that they can look at the UK and be like, well, these are the mistakes we're not going to make. We're not going to have massive corporate sponsorship where, you know, I mean, if people are smart and want to make a good scene, they can look at what happened in North America with indie rock and in the UK especially, and kind of avoid those like pitfalls of like over corporatizing indie rock, overhyping certain bands, you know. I think entertainment is going to be the West's final export, you know?
Yeah.
We're not an export culture anymore. We export culture for beer. We export entertainment, right? Like, so I think this scene starting in China, or that's been going, is a good, it's a homegrown Chinese alternative to Western, you know, Western mass culture. and maybe an alternative to Chinese mainstream culture, which would offer Chinese kids like a different sort of way of thinking and being, and
Right. Maybe it's like their way to express themselves and
yeah.
pouring over there. Did you get any sort of inspiring ideas from like other bands in China where you saw, oh well, I never thought of that before, or bands here never thought of it before?
Yeah, I did actually. One of the things I mean, two things I can think of off the top of my head was musically. I think a lot of the bands, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but musically, I think some of the bands are a lot more fearless than the bands in North America.
What does that mean?
Well, a band like we played with this band called Offset Spectacles.
From Hong Kong?
Yeah, at D22. I think they've moved to Beijing, but they're originally from Hong Kong. And they were totally abrasive and strange and like almost like early Velvet Underground sounding, but very specifically Chinese. And I never heard anything like that before. The other thing I found really inspiring about China, which is, and I don't know whether this is just specific to the music scene there, but I felt like the gender was like equally mixed in the bands.
Yes.
Almost every band has a female front person or female member, and it doesn't seem to be like in North America even now. It's like if you're a female fronted band or an all girl band or a band with a female member, the media uses it as a hook.
Yeah.
To write a story about it. It's like girl band, or like, it's always mentioned. And my wife, Alexi in Hanson First, hates that. She's always, talking about that in the press. But to go over there and play with like Gwai Lee and Boys Climbing Ropes, and it just seemed, it wasn't really an issue for them. They weren't marketing the band as like, we have a girl-fronted band. It just seemed very natural.
The new album, Wolf Array album, Expo 86, was that your idea or like the name?
No, it was the whole band's idea. We all went to Expo 86 when we were children, when they just built that. They built that specifically for Expo 86, and we realized like last year we were like, oh, we were all there at Expo 86 at the same time. So that became the sort of focus of the record, just us as kids. And they were playing Expo 86 at the Canadian Pavilion at Expo 2010 in Shanghai, which I thought was kind of cool.
What do you want to actually take from this the second China tour, and what's in that? Like, how would it enrich you and the Hanson First?
Well, I have some very selfish reasons also for wanting to go back to China too, which is that from the first trip we wrote between 5 and 7 new pieces of music from being there that were like directly influenced by the trip, lyrically and musically, like the way it sounds. We picked up a lot of new sounds, musical and just city sounds being there.
Right.
So we're in the process of making this third record, and I want to absorb more.
Right.
More information, more sounds, and kind of I want to try these things out that I wrote about my first time there. I want to try them out in China.
Like the tour?
Yeah, on the
wow.
tour, which is something we did with Face Control. When we wrote Face Control, we went to Eastern Europe, went home, wrote a bunch of songs about Russia, our time in Serbia, and then we went back before we made Face Control and tried those songs out live in front of the audience that kind of inspired us, and that really helped finish the songs up. So.
Can you give us a taste about what the songs are about? Like, some of the, or is it? I don't know.
No, I don't know. I mean, we wrote a song that, like, we wrote this song called Repatriated, about not wanting to go back to North America after visiting China.
Nice.
And we wrote another song called Serve the People, which Alexi and I worked on. Well, it's mostly Alexi's lyrics, but she read this book called Serve the People. And then we kind of had this tour diary thing that we mashed up with the book, and we made it sound very electronic and very kind of like what we were hearing on the street, like when we were walking around, this sort of tinny electronic music, blasting out of 4 different places at once. So.
That book is Mao's quote, right? Serve the People.
It's a Mao quote.
Yeah.
It's a quote.
But it's not from the book is not from Mao.
No, it's a book that was actually suppressed.
Cut.
Cut.